Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Money Man Show. I've got Ollie Keohane with me. Hi, Ollie. How you, man? Been recovering from COVID, I hear.
Yeah, I'm on the mend now. No more symptoms, but still in isolation for a couple of days, but getting there.
Okay, you guys might know him as the Money Boy or the Money Less Boy, depending on which streak he's on. Oh, let's chat. Congratulations to Betway on becoming the official betting partners of the Springboks. That's quite a coup. Um, let's chat about Argentina and the Springboks. Last week, I think the Boks surprised a lot of people. I think most people had it out would be between 3 to 5 points, and wouldn't have been surprised at all if the Springboks had lost with the amount of changes. What do you put the performance down to? Because it surprised me. I didn't bet on the game for those reasons.
Sure, I actually put it down to sort of the processes and the systems that have been in place since Rassi and Jacques took over in 2018. There's been a very clear plan to build this like squad depth that
Yeah,
focuses on a match day 23 winning a game, and then further than that, a 36-man traveling squad that is fairly interchangeable.
yeah,
And it's very cool to see the Springboks get to a stage where, there is a very clear number one team.
yeah.
But if that number one team's not playing, any of the sort of replacements can go in there and do their job. And there's a lot of guys knocking on the door too.
It's great. It's great to see that. It's great to see that depth there. It just really is for
Yeah, I
Spring.
mean, you never really thought that South Africa would get to that point at a stage.
Well, not with Alistair Coetzee, who was coaching the team into the ground, or not coaching the team into the ground. So those were the darkest days for me watching the Springboks losing to Italy, all the memes and all the negative stuff that was coming out. But when I looked at that Buck team and the way that I mean, they didn't beat Argentina; they demolished them. You know, they took. Yeah, it was clinical. So, under Coetzee, I remember us losing at home to Argentina. Losing away to Italy. In fact, I don't remember many wins at all. We lost to Wales, Argentina. Sorry.
Of his sort of era was that you see these like fleeting appearances in Springbok jerseys. So you've got so many guys, sort of pre-Rassi and Jacques, that were capped a couple of times. They were the flavor of the month for a season.
Well, what we see is, I think, what we see is a clear vision being and a vision being executed through good planning.
And I thought, the trust that Jacques Ninaba showed in recognizing the occasion post the Lions thing, realizing that there would be this sort of physical come down, emotional come down, and if there was a test to make 10 changes straight off the bat and play your weaker side, it would be this one. And then I think the Bucks were kind of in quite a good situation, because if they lost, it's there is the excuse of you just come off the back of the Lions series win. It's the first game of the season. It's Argentina. Like,
You know what? Sorry, Ollie. One of the betting rules is you never bet on a team coming off an emotional game, coming off an emotional win. You usually always leads to disaster, and it's why I stayed away from it. I don't regret that because I don't think about those things beyond beyond the game. It's my habits.
it's money not lost is as good as money won.
Yeah, a wise man said that.
Yeah, something that's easy to forget. But yeah, I think it's one of those things. If you don't bet on it, like you said, no regrets, because it was great to watch the Springboks go out there and kind of like reassure you that there is something as special about this team as you think, about this
Yeah.
wider squad. And then if it brings us to this week's game, is so he made 10 changes to the team last week. There's, I think, 17 changes to the entire match day squad this week. And he's put out like a really, really good box side. Potentially the only sort of weak link there is you sacrifice the physicality of Evan Etzebeth for um, Marvin Ori, but you've still got Lotte Jager there. You've got young Van Rensburg on the bench. They've got Dan Dupree there sort of for like, to bolster the physicality. So in a team that good, I don't think Marvin Ori is going to be the downfall either. I don't think he's a bad player, so it's really very few weaknesses. And
No, he's not a bad player, but he's not a even Itzebeth. And Itzebeth has been just colossal, in his presence, his physical presence. You know.
He's been huge this year, though.
Pardon me.
He's been huge this year. He just seems to continue to grow every year.
He is huge. I mean, it's if if there was a biblical version, I'd say he's David. He's Goliath. I mean, he really is one. He's got his leg. He's got his legs on. He's got my legs on his shoulders. They're huge. You know.
What are your inclinations from a betting perspective
Um,
for this weekend?
Let me see. You know, it's going to be hard to convince me that 12.5 points, that's the handicap on this, is a safe handicap for Argentina. If the team plays with the same sort of mongrel as the Springboks did last week, I don't know how Argentina. Look, they're passionate people, but they're not going to be able to pull themselves up after that beating, and you're not going to reverse a 20-point spread on this game. I mean, to me, 12.5 offers some decent value. To 1.87 on the Boks.
Yeah, it's nice to see the Boks finally getting the respect from the bookies. You know, I was just in previous years you would never see these sort of like low value odds with the Springboks against any teams. You know,
Well, the Springboks are a bloody good side. And when you look and you can talk up Argentina all you want that they beat Wales and it was a Welsh team with 9-10 players missing. It was not the Welsh first team that they beat. It was a Welsh B side because their A side was playing for the Lions. So you can talk them up all you want, but I don't believe that Etsebe's absence is worth. It's a better Boks side than the one that ran out. So I don't know how. If Argentina keep it within 20 based on what the Boks did last week, I'd be impressed. So I like the Boks for 1,000 rand at 1.87. It'll pay back 1,870 rand. I can't see this game going any other way. It's a good Boks side that they've got going on.
Yeah, me too. I think this team will potentially also be the Springbok side a little bit more disciplined, concede slightly fewer penalties, because I think there is also, when you've got guys, younger guys playing, putting your hand up for a spot, there's this sort of like there's this vigor and energy that can often like translate into penalties. Like I remember in that SAA game, Joseph Dweba had like a really good 38 minutes, but he was on the verge of being yellow carded by the end of the first half, and I think that's why the coaches pulled him, and not for any like malicious intent, just because it's sort of like first game and just like kind of energetic. And I think this is a more experienced, composed team, and that unfortunately is the Boks' downfall, is that they are, and we saw it in the British and Irish Lions game, is that they'll work incredibly hard for 3 points or 5 points, but give away a very silly 3 on the return, Yeah. And I think if they're able to kind of iron that out, from a betting perspective, it makes the margins of a Springbok win a lot bigger for this weekend.
Yeah. I think the only question I have is from a defensive mongrel point of view is what do they lose by not having Eben Etzebeth there, and I think that it's not going to be as much as the handicap. So you got to back the handicap. It's great to see so many the depth and size of the Springbok squad. It's great to see Jock Nienauer. Coaching and making some good calls. Since he's been lost in the shuffle of this British and Irish Lions series, very much in Rassi's shadow, and very much had the humility to be in the shadow. It's, and look at what's happened. We've now got the World Rugby looking to throw the book at Rassi. And Rassi played a huge part in that win, because I believe that if he hadn't shown, it's ironic that the World Rugby want to call it, he's bringing the game into disrepute. The game is in disrepute with the likes of that first refereeing, the refereeing decisions that were made in the first match. So I find it ironic that they say he's brought the game into disrepute. The game is in disrepute. All he's done is point out the inconsistencies.
Them into disrepute, and they can't really deal with that.
No, and and brings me to another point. Your dad Your dad sent out a tweet, I think, yesterday. Your dad, obviously, Mark Keohane. Andy Marinos. Did you see it?
Yeah, about couldn't crack it as a Springbok, couldn't crack it as SA Rugby director.
Let me see if I can read it to folks. And let me ask your opinion.
I didn't get that.
Andy Marinos never cracked it as at SA Rugby as director of rugby, never got selected for the Springboks, and settled for Wales as a player, and is very angry with South African rugby. The only thing worse than a bit of South African is a bit of South African wanting to be an Aussie. Well, I have to agree with him, eh?
I saw SA Rugby ran a story that World Rugby's also responded to the pleas of an ex-Lions player to reduce the number of substitutes in the game, and then someone, I think it may have been my dad, actually tweeted, maybe it appears all you need to do to get a response from World Rugby is be an ex-Lions official player, because an hour-long video from Rassi, the only response he got is that he's essentially being sued now. But look, it's been a catalyst, regardless of what happens to him, I think, for a lot of discussion in World Rugby, which is only a positive thing. You just hope that World Rugby, the institute, actually kind of follows suit,
Well, I wouldn't bet on it because they've shown themselves to be inept a lot of the time. So.
Yeah. But just to quickly back to the point you made about Etzebeth and what you maybe lose in physicality is, the other thing to consider is that Kwagga Smith started on the flank last week, and Kwagga made 17 tackles. And I've chatted to my dad about it often. There's obviously something that they're seeing with him in terms of sort of like industry that is working, and that's why they're picking him. I still don't necessarily see him as the starting Springbok flank option, but I'm also not the Springbok coach. But he falls out of the squad this weekend, and you've got a loose trio. So even though you've got potentially a less physical lock pairing, you've got a loose trio of Siya Khaleesi and Franco Mostert, So you've got another lock now playing on the blindside flank ahead of Kwagga. So it's like, it does that sort of level out the physical presence too, a little bit.
It'll be interesting to see. But who knows? I mean, Kwagga is very much for me a horses for courses. I don't see him as, I think the first game against the British and Irish Lions, he had a shocker. He wasn't, he was completely ineffectual. They obviously see something in him. He gets around the park very well. You can't knock his ticker. He certainly plays with his heart on his sleeve, and maybe, I don't know what future he has there, but they obviously see something.
Yeah. So 12.5 points.
What's your bet this weekend, Ollie?
Well, yeah, I'm probably going to have to agree with you. There's no other handicap that looks, enticing. I think 18.5 is just, in any rugby championship match, is a lot to take on a team, because it's four quality sides playing, and anything can happen on the day. So to back a side to win by 19 points is a lot. But 12.5, like you're saying, what would it take for Argentina to reverse a 20-point deficit against a better Springbok side? It's like a hell of a lot. So yeah, if you can get 90% return on your money on that kind of handicap, I think the Boks will definitely be looking for the bonus point again, which is 3 tries. 12.5 is a good shot.
Especially when you consider the Springbok defense. I mean, their defense has been colossal. They don't concede many tries.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
So, if they're not conceding, all they have to win, they just say they score. That won't happen, but hypothetically, they score 2 tries, converted 14 points. They don't concede a try or penalty. There's your handicap. Done. They will concede a couple of penalties, but the Boks have not conceded. Don't concede tries. So.
Well, there you have. We're both in agreement that 12.5 is a pretty decent handicap to take for the Boks. That means that if you bet on them, they've got to win by 13 or more, and if you bet on Argentina, they can't lose by 13 or more.
Don't bet on Argentina.
And next, Ollie, thanks for doing the video. I know you've been recovering, and hopefully you'll be in studio next week so we can do a soccer and rugby.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to being back.
Okay, man. Well, you get better, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, Kev. You too.
Thanks all. Cheers, mate.